And I suspect that is the answer most of us would give. Be honest. They are stupid, brainwashed, ignorant. We are the good guys, and they are the bad guys. Period. Several weeks later, I was at a friend's house, and I was very upset and angry about all the hate and racism I had met. It was he who suggested I should call them up and visit them. They will kill me, I said. They would never attack the member of the Danish parliament, he said. And anyway, if they killed you, you'd become a martyr. So it's pure win-win situation for you. His advice was so unexpected. When I got home, I turned on my computer and opened the folder where I have saved all the hate mails. There were literally hundreds of them. Emails that started with words like terrorist, crackhead, rat, whore. I decided to contact the one who had sent me the most. His name was Ingolf. I decided to contact him just once, so that I could say at least I had tried. To my surprise and shock,
Wow, that was an inspiring talk, Shubu. Do you want to know what else is inspiring?
What, Lizzie?
My sense of humor.
I'm not sure I agree with that, but okay.
So do you want to hear a joke?
I'm sure I'm going to regret this, but yeah, let's give it a shot.
Why are teddy bears never hungry?
Why?
Because they're always stuffed.
Oh my
like
God.
Ted.
Lizzie, you said your sense of humor is inspiring. If anything, I feel sick after hearing that.
Oh, I'll make you laugh next time. Anyways, let's move on to our next speaker, Jonas Ladensen, a 15-year-old student attending the International School of Tanganyika. Throughout his life, he has lived in 7 different countries across 3 continents, and as a result, has a desire for adventure. He believes that fulfilling the desire to experience something new is essential to personal growth, and tries to push himself constantly. Today, his talk is based on a collection of stories and examples of society's changing boundaries. Please welcome Jonas to the stage.
All right. So today I'll be talking to you about confidence. It's a word that we hear a lot, and in today's world, confidence is a must for success. All of us need to have the confidence to do our jobs correctly, to appear qualified in the interviews, and to pass the training required for said job. However, all of us can be understandably doubtful or insecure at times. Think of a time that you were scared, nervous, or unconfident. Think about what you were doing in that moment, but most importantly, think about what you did to change it. Some of us freeze and panic. Some escape that situation as quickly as possible, and some avoid it altogether. But when pushing through can be so beneficial, why? As humans, all of us constantly evaluate the risk versus reward potential of any given situation. And one sad truth is that often it's those which are less qualified, less knowledgeable about a situation, who are those who can quote unquote push through, who can give it a try. And that's because if you're not an expert at something, you might not have the knowledge to know that there's a lot that you don't know about what you're doing. And because insecurity and doubt stems from a lack of knowledge, that can be empowering. However, conversely, those of us who might be good at something might know that there's a lot that we don't know, and that creates doubt. And in this way, people who are less qualified can often end up being the ones doing things. This is called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and it's pretty common. In fact, I would say probably all of you can think of an example where you think you're really good at something, and your friends will completely disagree. They'll say you're bad. Or you think you're really bad at something, but your friends will keep encouraging you and say that you do well. But whatever side of that you're on, and let's face it, probably both of them, I'm just suggesting that you could be wrong, and you probably are wrong. And because it's not at all conducive to have that insecurity, I'd like all of you to reevaluate that thought that you have about yourself, about your ability, that line that you've drawn for yourself in insecurity. Are you really stuck within that line? Or do you know enough to change it, to cross it? Because chances are you do. And doing so is always worthwhile. This is a really bad photo, an old photo of Charles Lindbergh. He was the first person to fly alone across the Atlantic Ocean. And when he did this, it had really huge impacts for the world, how the world would work. And the society as a whole, we celebrated his achievement because of this. He had crossed a limit. He had broken a boundary. He had done something that no one else had done before. And so we marveled at this new feat. But just like the world had a boundary then, we all have boundaries, and we all give boundaries to ourselves. Think about it. A baby has very extreme limits. They might cry at the slightest movements or smallest noises. But as the baby becomes a toddler, those movements and noises might become, or will become, normal. The toddler will still, where's the toddler? Will still have struggles of its own. For example, falling unexpectedly might cause the toddler to cry. Yet, as the toddler becomes a child, that too becomes normal, becomes part of life. And the child will deal with separation from their parents as they go to school. Eventually, that becomes normal too. As teenagers, we are still learning about the world, getting used to the world around us. And by the end of being a teenager, we're all expected to know how to deal with the real world, to be independent, to work, to live effectively, and to find success. And that's a lot to ask. The world is a huge place, and there's a lot of things out there. But all of us do it, right? No. I'd be willing to bet, based on this survey, that all of you, no matter your age, have something which makes you nervous or unconfident. This is a survey I took of 119 people in my school, teachers and students, which says that 90.6 of people have something that they're afraid to do and to try. So this tells us really obviously two things. One, it's completely natural to have those insecurities about yourself. It's 100% human and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And two, 90.6% of people have something that holds them back from doing something or from being something. Why should we settle for that? Interestingly, a majority of people also said that the reason that they didn't try these things that they were scared of, it's not because of anyone else or societal pressure, it's because of themselves. So we know that it's completely natural and 100% human to feel that. I think that there's two situations in which people generally feel anxiety over something. The first is when change occurs. People hate change. Think of a time that you've changed schools, changed classes, changed work environments. How did it feel? We tend to think, what if I don't like it here? What if I don't fit in? What if I don't meet the group? What if I'm not like them? Instead of thinking, what if I really like it? What if I learn something? What if it's good for me? We think no when we should be thinking yes. The second situation which people limit themselves in, really, through insecurity, is when the stakes are raised. Think of a time where you're taking a test, and now it goes on your college transcript, so you have to stress and study constantly over what mark you get there. Think of a time where you have greater responsibilities now in your job, and you can't help but think, what if I mess up? Because that's what we tend to think. What if I mess up? What if I'm not good enough to do this? What if I fail? Instead of thinking, what if I excel? What if I push through? What if I learn something from this? What if I become a better person through this? Again, we think no when we should be thinking yes. And it's really easy to say that standing here in this nice air-conditioned room, but I can remember a time not too long ago where no matter how hard I wanted what I was working towards, no matter how hard I tried, with every step, was becoming a no person more than a yes person. I was trying to summit Kilimanjaro, and it was very dark and very hard to breathe and very cold. And eventually, I made it. It's a terrible picture, so I'm not going back and getting another one. But I did make it. And in the end, I I can't help but think that I still failed because it took someone else to force feed those positive thoughts, those yeses to me in order for me to make it. And the struggle is that you have to do that for yourself. So I know that my failure was that I did not start my journey knowing with certainty that I would end it there right. And with every step I took, I was thinking, I can't do this instead of I can. And so a year ago, I gave myself a challenge to expose myself to discomfort, to say yes to different things, to do things that I hadn't done before. And after learning so much, doing so much, and failing and learning from my mistakes, I would like to give that same challenge to all of you in the audience and all of you watching. Think of one thing even, one goal that you've had for a while, one thing that you've always wanted to do, and today, right now, take that first step towards doing it. Because that step is really simple. You just need to know with a certainty that whatever it is, you can do it. Because the knowledge, that confidence, that ability to ignore your insecurity is what will help you make it through. The only one stopping you is yourself. Thank you.
Wow, Shubu, did you hear that? Jonas said he climbed Kilimanjaro. Is there anything cool you've ever done in your life? We found it hard to climb these stairs.
I mean, Lizzie, you'll be surprised. I've done some pretty crazy things in my life myself.
Yeah, like what?
I remember last year I went horseback riding like twice. It was insane.
Shubu, I'm pretty sure that's a normal thing that people do.
No. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Like I carried the horse. Like, you don't believe me? Look.
Well, enough of your nonsense, Shubu. We will now have our next performance, which will be from Symphonies for Change. So please put your hands together for Symphonies for Change. Turn on the mic, guys. There's a button. You have to press it. There's a button on the mic.
We are Symphonies for Change. We are a Take Action Tuesday activity that goes on at IST, and we play songs to raise awareness about world issues and spread positive ideas and messages. Today, we'll be playing a song, we changed the song, so it's not on the schedule, Waiting on the World to Change by John Mayer. The song is about changing the world, from the big things to the small. Everything matters. It's about taking initiative instead of relying on others to do so.
Yeah, it works.
Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing and there's no way we ever could. And now we see everything that's going wrong with the world and those who lead it. We just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep waiting, waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting, waiting on the world to change.
Now if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, then I'll never miss the Christmas, no more ribbons on the door. When you trust your television, what you get is what you got. Well, the only information, oh, they can bend it all they want. Cause we keep waiting, waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, we just know the fight is fair. So we keep waiting, waiting, waiting on the world to change.
That's why we're waiting, waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting, waiting, waiting on the world to change. One day our generation is gonna rule the population. So we keep waiting, waiting, waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change.
Thank you.
Thank you for that performance, Symphonies for Change.
Hey Lizzie, have you ever thought about like if robots could like play the instruments?
Not really.
But that would be pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Well, our next speaker might just show us how that could be done. Mr. Shaukatali Zahir. He is a mechatronics engineer and entrepreneur who founded Robotech Labs, which is a startup organization that drives the youth and young thinkers to bring forth their innovative ideas. However, today he'll be talking about his personal journey regarding robotics and tech. So please give him a warm round of applause, Mr. Shaukatali Zahir.
Education. A journey, an experience, and an adventure of a lifetime. Your education is truly meaningful and qualitative if you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Allow me to take you through a journey of my own personal experience in which I'd like to tell you what it's like to be in the education system of today. And this education system, or that I have been through, begins with a counseling session. All of you have been through a counseling session. If you haven't, best of luck for the next one. If you have, you'll know that the first question every counselor asks you, well, for me it was my first time, was what would you like to be when you grow up? My mother and I had visited the counselor, and my answer was very ecstatic. It was very surprising too. And she asked me, Ali, what would you like to be when you grow up? I shouted, I want to be a father. My mom's eyes rolled out to me and like, what did you just say? My counselor had glasses on, and she usually put them down. She looked at me properly just to make sure I was okay. You see, what I meant was I wanted to be just like my father. My father had a really bad habit. He was a very practical person. So practical that whatever came into his hands would end up in pieces. Literally pieces. And this is why my mom decided to stop buying me toys because of him. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. In this practicality with my father, there were key insights that really inspired me. Whenever he'd be opening up my toys, in this case, He actually called me, Ali, come here. Do you see what's happening inside this? Why it's happening? These key insights generated for me a think cloud, where I actually started imagining how things would be working, what the toy is and why it is that way. This is very interesting. And this is when he introduced me to the famous tool that we all call a screwdriver. The tool that is meant for creativity and destruction too. And that's my favorite tool. I didn't carry one today because I was told not to, because I might open up a few things on stage. I shared this picture because of him, and my mother knows why this picture is over here. This photos of me is actually showing you, it's my birthday, in fact. And I decided not to hold a knife because I was just bored for the knife. Instead, I decided to hold a matchbox and set my cake on fire because I thought it'd be very cool. Not cutting the cake, set on fire. That is my adventurous head. That is my creativity. There were 3 elements in my life that touched me the most. And in this talk of mine, I am going to highlight 3 key elements in my life that have been important to me till date, just as they should be for you. The first key element from this part here was curiosity. This think tank in my head, this tool in my hand, I was open to the world of practicality. It is with this upbringing of practicality and curiosity that I decided to enter school. Now, most of you know how the school system works. For those of you who don't know how my school system is, maybe it might be the same for you. My school system was very simple. You come in class, you open your notebook, the teacher goes onto the chalkboard, writes down the class notes for the day. All you have to do is put it down into your book, close your book, go home, have fun. Before the exams come, open your book, read, memorize, pass your exams. And that's it. As simple as that. There's nothing more to it in school. As a young 7-year-old, 8-year-old boy, I used to ask questions that my mom used to think I was too young to ask. I asked Mom, is this why I'm going to school? In fact, school encouraged us to strive for the good grades, to strive for the trophy, to strive for the medal. Was this what I was coming to school for? Throughout my primary school and secondary schooling, my think cloud started fading. My screwdriver in my hand found its way into his backpack. I had to adapt to survive. I started losing hope. I started losing morale. But as soon as I finished high school in 2012, university came to picture. Everyone thinks universities, we go partying and stuff, right? Don't hide your laughter. You can be honest about it. It's okay. We all have this first image, partying, friends. But the university life was actually much more interesting. There's a small hope that came into me and told me that things might just be different. My first orientation in university was very straightforward. The first thing you need is a minimum of 75% attendance to qualify for the next semester. Number 2, you needed a minimum of 7 GPA out of 10 to sit for company placements and internships. And worst of all was number 3. Failure is not an option. The not being emphasized in this case. Have any of you watched 3 Idiots by any chance? Have any of you have watched the movie 3 Idiots? For those of you who have, will recall this scene. And for those of you who haven't, allow me to enlighten you. In 3 Idiots, there's one scene where Amir Khan, the Bollywood actor, is sitting in a classroom. For those of you who have not watched engineering movies, this is a typical engineering movie you should watch, trust me. He's sitting in class, he's smiling, and his teacher asks him, what are you smiling so much for? He's like, sir, I'm actually happy to be in class today. It's always been my dream to study engineering. And he goes, don't smile too much, get up. Oh, okay, he gets up. Tell me, what is a machine? Look at the beauty of this answer. Sir, a machine is anything that makes human effort easier. It just uses human interactions. Sir, your light switch, sir. On, light goes on. Off, light goes off. Same thing for a fan, sir. On, off. Sir, your trouser zip, sir. Open, close, open, close. Sir, machine, sir. The class broke down into a hysteric laugh. The teacher was insulted. He was so insulted that they asked him, are you going to write this in your exam? a machine is open, close, giving the textbook definition. And then we have this nerd, this so-called noob geek in our class, who has every answer to the textbook, A to B, A to Z, in fact, and you will feel embarrassed of him. Before he got up, Amir Khan was asked to leave the class. And as he was leaving, he was called an idiot. Just waited there. Then the noob gets up and gives this high-quality HD or 4K definition answer of a machine. And he goes, wow, music to his ears. But then Amir Khan comes back inside, looks at his teacher, and teacher asks him, what do you want? He says, sir, I forgot something. Yeah, what do you forget? And then he gives his own definition of a machine. 4K, A to Z, textbook. Clearly. In fact, there was so much more detail that even the teacher had the most awkward look at him, like, what are you talking about? And then the teacher asks him, what is your point? Sir, he says, textbooks. He's like, I don't understand, but can't you just say it simply? It's like, I tried, but it didn't take it simply. This was my problem, you see. I come from a background of being practical. This curiosity, this practicality was always the one that inspired me throughout my school life, in my university too. The problem that I was facing was simplicity wasn't allowed. You're not allowed to think. You only had to pass. And this was a problem to me. On the 4th of May, 2013, I experienced my worst moment of my life. Have any of you experienced breakdown, mental breakdown, to the point where you do not see the light of tomorrow? The 4th of May, 2013 has been a day that has been embarked in my heart for the rest of my life till day. On the 4th of May, 2013, I had the most bad breakup, sadly. My mom was in Dar es Salaam and I was in India, and she was having a lot of family trouble at home. And worst of all, I had a math exam the next day, which I wasn't really prepared for. Because after all, textbook is almost 600 pages. I had to eat the whole thing, just give it to the exam. Really? Was it really worth it? I broke down. I lost hope. I lost belief. And worst of all, I lost my zeal of working. The next day, I went to the exam room, and I know for sure I will score 1 mark for doing only one thing, writing my name. I did that. I wrote my name on the paper. I scored 1 mark, felt like a boss. For 10 minutes, I looked at my paper and thought, if I will spit up the same things I memorized, which I didn't, unfortunately, I can score good marks and pass. But is this what I really want to do in my life? Is this the system that has been instilled in me to go with or go with the flow with? I decided to walk out, and we had our semester break. For 1 week, I was in my room, sleeping, literally sleeping. Every time I woke up, I would actually wake up with a lot of nightmares and start crying. After the 1 week break, the semester started again, the new semester. I managed to pass with attendance, luckily. They actually counted. And the new semester introduced me to a very nice teacher, Mrs. Akshata Pai. Mrs. Akshata Pai is a gem, one-of-a-kind teacher. I entered her class for the first time, and I don't know what happened, that she actually noticed something was wrong with me. After her class, she called me to her cabin and said, Ali, let's go. I was scared. I'm like, what's happening, man? Why is she calling me? I haven't spoken to her at all. But she called me to her cabin. And she asked me, Ali, something is not right with you. I can see from your face. Those few words touched me so much that I just broke down in tears. I cried a river. I told her, this is my problem. My problem is I'm not able to visualize things anymore. I can't get my hands dirty anymore. I'm not able to think again like I used to. I told her about my father's upbringing. My mother's look of me being a father, apparently what I was supposed to be my father instead. And she told me, Ali, you need to be passionately curious. Those are the words that will always stay with me in my heart. She was so practical in her own nature that I remember there was a topic in our 7th semester about autotronics. If you break down the word auto and tronics, it's mostly automobile related and electronics. Now, as a teacher, she goes on the board, draws down the whole circuit diagram, you're like, yep, I got that. but nothing kicked in your head. I was so confused that she was so nice to actually take me to her own vehicle, show me how the concept works. We pull out a few wires out of a car. I got the concept, practically. The good thing was I learned the concept. The bad thing was her car was totaled. We couldn't fix it at that time, but we had to call her husband to fix the car for us. So breaking, making, practicality, all running in my head. She ignited a passion in me, a fire that actually gave me hope that I could do this. And towards the final semester, we built a machine from scratch. It was one of the best achievements in our university because we were a team of 7 to 8 crazy people. And this craziness took us to heights that even the dean of the university made sure he makes it himself, a metal steel plate saying that this machine has been made by idiots. That's how cool he was. This was the development of the second and most crucial element in my life, passion. A curious boy who was a breaker, a passionate man who was a breaker. I took these two key elements with me back home, and I decided to do a small survey to understand what was driving people like you in school today. The results, staggering. Raise your hands if you feel you fall amongst these categories here. How many of you are going to school for the sake of universities? How many of you are studying to get the good grades? Or how many of you have been forced to go to school because of your parents? Be honest. You may be shy now, but the truth is the truth. What gave me hope was that small percentage of people who were trying to make a difference. They were potential change makers. It is because of these people that I thought I had a chance of bringing something different to my town. No, to my city. No, to my country. This is why I decided to start something of my own, Robotech Labs. We tell parents very honestly, well, we actually lie to the parents who come to our training center that I call. But we instill students on how to be creative, how to be innovative. But the truth is, we teach our kids how to break and make stuff, period. The parents' looks change, but when they see the results, they are amazed. The breaker and maker in me was trying to instill the same breaker and maker in you today. I formed a team in Robotech. No, I formed a family that shared the same vision, mission, and objectives of what I was struggling for, to bring the need for practicality in education. However, in this journey, I still felt something was missing. Every morning before I left for work, there used to be a blind man that used to get down from the bus stand and walk to this particular location every day. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Same movements, same posture. And in fact, I was so embarrassed to do this, I actually walked in front of him once just to make sure he was not blind, like he was actually blind. He walked through the people so smoothly, and I was actually asking, is he really blind? I decided to muster up the courage and ask him on how he managed to do this every day. He told me that he got blind at a later age. He lost his sight due to an accident. But he knew his way because he used to go to work the same routine and actually started counting his steps every time he left from home to the bus stand, and from the bus stand to this location, and back forth. This is when I decided to do something different, something innovative. And with that, I'd like to share it with you today on stage. It's a broomstick, just saying. Allow me to introduce to you the Smart Stick. The Smart Stick works with a small microcontroller that has been programmed with a set of instructions, a battery pack to power up the microcontroller, a sensor to detect distances, and a buzzer to alert him about the distances. Allow me to demonstrate on how this Smart Stick is supposed to work. So we have some technical glitches. 3 different distances, 3 different sounds. The small light bulb in my head started fizzling. It gave me an idea. And I thought, what if I could teach people on how you can use low-cost technology to have so much impact, in fact, or application in the society today? This is when I decided to start something different. Something much more bigger on a greater scale. This was called, and is still called, TechFest. TechFest, a platform made by the youth, for the youth, to show how you can use your classroom knowledge or content to actually apply it in the world outside. Meaningful is the word I refer to here. The event the stick that I showed you was actually part of an event called Blind Man's Alley, where students were allowed to code, wire, and program a smart stick that would actually help them maneuver their way through an obstacle course blindfolded. The fastest team to maneuver through the obstacle course would win. There were 2 messages in this event that were very vital. The first one, how you could use low-cost technology to actually have an application in the world outside. And 2, what it's like to put yourself in the shoes of an individual who is blind. In fact, the results were so interesting that we had more than 80 teams of almost 2 people in the team participating. But that wasn't the most important part to me. The most important part for this event was one of my students, 9-year-old boy called Tariq. And he came to me and said, Mr. Ali, if I am blind and deaf, how will the smart stick help me? I was so happy because people started asking the right questions now. There was hope. People started realizing that this is actually needed in us. This was the development of the final and key element in my life, impact. Before I conclude, I was just thinking of something before I came up on stage. And it's actually a piece of advice. It's a statement to all of you. Don't agree to abide to the system. Don't try to adjust yourself to the system. Change. Be a change maker. Be a breaker. Be a maker. Be the person who brings this change to society. Don't settle down to the mediocre life when you finish school, get a girlfriend, get married, have a wife, have kids, and that's it. Or a high-paying job. That's not the end. Something is missing. This change starts from now. Be the change maker that people need you for. My name is Shaukatali Hussein. I'm a breaker through my curiosity. I'm a maker through my passion. Combining these 2, I've decided to show you how you can use education to impact people in their lives today. This is what I do and why I do so. This is my why. What is your why? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shaukatali. So you guys heard it first, yeah? Let's all quit school.
Okay, so who wants to play a game?
Another game.
No? Another game? Come on, guys. Enthusiasm.
It's gonna be fun, trust me.
It's a fun game. Do you have any volunteers to play a game?
If you don't volunteer, I'm sorry, we have to come and take you.
We'll tell you what the game is when you come up. Okay? So all of you guys with your hands up, come up.
Yeah, everyone with their hands up, just come up, just come up.
Guys, come on, any more volunteers?